Good morning and good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Cavallo's first webinar of the year, Beyond BI, Fuel Profits with Enhanced Customer and Order Analytics. My name is Dean Holmes. I'm Product Marketing Manager here at Cavallo. I am based out of sunny San Francisco, and if you can't tell, I have a few hobbies and interests, but I do also get outside and enjoy hiking both in the city and around the Bay Area. I'm joined today by Nate DeWinkle, Senior Product Manager, and I'll hand it over to him so he can introduce himself.
Hi, my name's Nate DeWinkle, Senior Product Manager and Product Lead for the Profit Analytics product here at Cavallo. I am in our headquarters in balmy Grand Rapids, Michigan, where we get the 20 degrees as opposed to the sunny. There's one hobby Dean and I both share is a passion for Legos. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Other than that, I'm also into running and golfing and being outdoors in general. So excited to show you guys Profit Analytics today.
Awesome. Thanks, Nate. Nate's going to be back with us later to do our live demo. In the meantime, you're going to be hanging out with me. Before we get started, I have a few housekeeping items to cover. First, the format for today's webinar will be about a 40 to 45-minute presentation and demo followed by Q&A. Feel free to ask questions throughout the presentation using the Q&A icon at the bottom of your screen, and we'll do our best to answer all those questions at the end. Today's webinar is being recorded, so you will be able to share it with your colleagues starting tomorrow. You will also find it on our YouTube channel and the event page on our website. We're going to start with a brief introduction to Cavallo for those who aren't familiar. We're going to talk about the state of distribution and the challenges faced, and how Cavallo can help drive max profitability. And then we'll follow that up with a live demo of the product. With that, let's get started. At Cavallo, we truly understand the struggle distributors face in maintaining margins. We were founded 20 years ago. We were built by distributors for distributors with the goal of helping our customers achieve max profitability. You may be familiar with our Sales Pad product, which was built specifically to help Great Plains customers enhance the quote to cash cycle. We've helped thousands of distributors, some of whom are here today. And as our retention rate and NPS scores would indicate, those customers appreciate the solutions we have built. And as we've expanded beyond Great Plains into the cloud, we've brought that same expertise and commitment to our customers and their profitability. So as we look at the state of profitability, and specifically the factors that affect margins and profitability, I won't be focusing on things like tariffs and regulations, supply chain issues, etc. Those are margin pressures that are largely out of our control. But during times of economic uncertainty, it's even more imperative to evaluate the things we can control. The average mid-market distributor is making less than a nickel for every dollar of pre-tax profit. It could be more, it could be less, but I guarantee there is room for growth. I'll get back to that a little later. So when I look at the factors affecting profitability that we can control, things like incorrect pricing, excessive discounts, oft-return items, or unexpected changes in cost, understanding and controlling those variances can make a huge impact on your profitability. All of these factors can be hard to find, though. They're hidden inside of your ERP data, and by not having visibility into these factors, your profitability can suffer. And when we look at that nickel of profit, a lot of distributors we talk to consider their profit margin as something that's just set in stone. We don't agree with that. I'm going to start with an example. Here's a typical mid-market distribution company. 10,000 customers, thousands of SKUs, and 500 plus orders a day. 500 million in sales is giving them 12.5 million in gross margin. It's about 25%. After adding up all the expenses, they're making 1.25 million on 50 million in sales. That's 2.5%. It's less than a nickel. By applying the science of profit, we're confident that advanced Cavallo users will see an increase in profitability. And a 10x increase is a very attainable goal. So how do we flip that nickel to a quarter? The first challenge is understanding what's affecting profitability. This isn't a small problem. There are billions of data points in your ERP that need to be consumed and analyzed to even begin understanding order profitability. A billion data points might seem like an exaggeration, but I'm going to use a simple illustration to explain. This little green box is one order, one perfect order. Over the course of a week, that one perfect order turns into 2,500 perfect orders. That's what happens, right? Perfect orders, no defects, max profitability. I think we know that's not the case. It could be errors in some of the data fields. It could be missing lines. It could simply be human error. A 30 to 50% defect rate is not unusual, But even if your defect rate is 10 to 20%, you're leaking margin and losing profitability on every one of those leaky orders. And that's just 1 week. Once we look at an entire year, 52 weeks becomes 130,000 orders. Multiply those 130,000 orders times 50 fields, 10 lines, and 20 human touches per order, and you quickly blow past 1 million data points. So for the example of distributor that is making 1.25 million on 130,000 orders, if a 30 to 50% of those have defects, how much profit can we gain by finding and fixing those margins? That's the question. We have to take those billions of data points and use them to understand where we are leaking margin and losing profits on those orders. Maximizing profit requires mastering orders. And if we're not maximizing profit at the line level, margin and profit leaks become commonplace. BI tools only take you so far. They require dedicated resources and many hours to build effective reports and visualizations. And they still might not provide you with all the insights you need to achieve max profitability. Technology is the answer, but not just any technology. Any solution needs to be built with a deep understanding of the economics that affect distributors. At Cavallo, we've gone beyond BI by combining your history and our history and distribution with the expertise our profit scientists to turn our raw data into decision-ready insights that will impact your margin. At Cavallo, we think of orders as two sides of the same coin. One side is the performance and economics of the order. Things like price, cost, discounts, the volume of orders, items included. All of these things can affect the profitability of an order. The flip side of the coin is what, when, and how our customers are ordering, and what that tells us about their profitability, or lack thereof. And more importantly, if we lose a customer, forget about profits and margins. They went out the door with the customer. Customer retention should always be a top priority, especially with the cost to acquire new customers. This is where the Order Intelligence platform comes into play. Order Intelligence is a transformative solution designed to improve your business's ability to create flawless orders and optimize profitability. We're profit scientists. At Cavallo, we are leveraging the 20+ years of distribution experience and the science of profit to take ERP data, apply proprietary algorithms and data analytics, and then present purpose-built visualizations and actionable insights to help you become more profitable. We do this by providing deep margin insights that reveal both the micro and macroeconomics affecting order performance and profitability. Additionally, we are analyzing customer order trends to provide views into your customer's health. So, when we apply Order Intelligence to your ERP, we are ingesting all of those billions of data points, and our profit analytics tools are helping to organize and visualize them. But more importantly, we're applying the science of profit to bring you actionable insights like profit indicators and variance analysis to help you understand the economics that are affecting order profitability. And things like ABCD segmentation and churn prediction, which are designed to quickly show you at-risk customers and the value of those customers and the margin that is at risk. The best part is you can be up and running in days, not weeks or months. And because we are focused on providing a consumer-grade experience, there's no need to have an analytics degree or a background in BI to gain immediately actionable insights. It's easy to provide access to your leaders in sales, marketing, operations, and finance, all of whom would benefit from the insights we provide. Ultimately, Cavallo has designed the Order Intelligence platform to help you flip that nickel into a quarter and achieve max profitability. With that, I'm going to hand things over to Nate so he can provide you with a live demo highlighting the profit analytics capabilities available in Cavallo's Order Intelligence platform. Take it away, Nate.
Thanks, Dean. I'm excited to show you guys how we actually turn that nickel into a quarter with profit analytics. One of the things I mentioned Legos when we come back to it. We like to think of profit analytics as buying the completed Lego set. There's a lot of BI tools out there where you can get all the pieces together and maybe they come with instructions and you're going to get a completed model. Our goal is to provide you the completed model out of the box, connected to your ERP, getting that data and then adding the enrichment and providing the insights from that data so you have the completed model without having to build it. So I'm going to walk you through what that application looks like, and as I'm a CEO, CFO for my organization, how I would use this to look at both sides of that order coin, the performance side and then also the customer side. So right off the bat, we're coming in, we're seeing our homepage. I'm seeing our trailing 12 months and looking
Nate, I
at,
don't think you're sharing right now.
I'm not.
There we
How's
go.
that? All right. Sorry about that. So diving in right off the bat, uh, we're looking at our trailing 12 months and we're comparing this year to the prior period. We could change some of those comparisons or change the time period. Uh, but we'll look at it this way. So we have our margin summary where we have our overall P&L, our sales, COGS, gross margin. We see what we have what we did in the current period, and then also the prior period, and what was that variance. We quickly also see how things have trended both on the margin and the sales area. I noticed right away that while sales is relatively consistent year over year, the margin has actually been growing, and we have an inflection point here around May. We can take that variance and say, well, how did we get to that $1.3 million improvement? And we drive over to the variance analysis, looks year over year, customer to customer, item to item. Where are my gains for that? Or where are my losses as well? So we see the overall impact, the $1.3 million. But we can quickly break that down into the different drivers that contributed to that $1.3 million, whether it was a price impact, a returns impact, a volume impact, or a cost impact. And we not only see the net impact, but we also have the gross gains where we really improved year over year, and gross losses as well, where we actually declined year over year. We can drill into this and explore this even further. We see this even further, and we can say, hey, what are my top performing customers, items, sales reps, customer classes, and item classes, both our gains and our declines. So right off the bat, I can see who's up, who's down year over year, and where was the change. And then we could take this even farther. A lot of times people want to go right into the negatives and say, hey, what's going on here? I like to go into the positives, say, hey, what's going well? Drilling into the positives, we see that same net impact, but we also then bring in the gross losses and gross gains in these opportunities that happened within here. So I see immediately that, hey, for this customer, Andrew's hiking adventure, overall, I did pretty well. I'm up $48,000 year over year for them. However, there's also a gross loss of $36,000. So what happened this year what happened last year that didn't happen this year that led to that loss? I can drill in really quick and see, what would contribute to that loss? It was a pricing impact on this water bottle right now. I could go look at the individual lines, or I could drive over and then look at price and say, what was the price impact here? This customer has my largest price impact. And there's that water bottle again. You can see that the current weighted price was 14.58. Our price went down year over year about $1.75. And our current margin is $7, and the margin changed. So something happened within my pricing here that I lowered my price. I didn't maintain my margin. From here, it's a question of either go to the sales rep or go to the product or go to the product manager. What happened with the pricing of this item? Why did we do this? Why did we make this change? How did I not protect my margin? So by finding these leaks as they come in, we're able to immediately create the action item to say, hey, let's look at this. Let's go to this. Let's make sure we correct our pricing for this user as we go forward. So we hear from a lot of our customers that this is a type of insight. This is a type of detailed analysis that they wish they had time to do. With Profit Analytics, it's just available right out of the box. So margin variance analysis is looking at all of those drivers that led to the margin change. Another way we like to look at the order performance profitability is with profit indicators. So I like to refer to this as the heartbeat of the business. There's three ways that you can make money as a distributor. You can get customers, you can get your existing customers to buy more money or buy more, or you can get them to spend more. And this really highlights all those factors that lead to making a profitable customer. We have our number of unique customers, their average orders per customer, the average lines per order, the average sales per order, the average COGS per order, and then the average margin per order that all come up to our totals. We also have a quick spark line to see how did I get here quarter over quarter? How do these numbers look that led me to get here? And the real power here is we can start seeing that, hey, I'm doing great. I gained customers, but I'm also down on my price per line. So we see some of that pricing pressure that happened here. And it really lets you start to hone in on where are these averages? How can I start moving the needle on any one of those three different areas? We come down farther, we can take a look at this and say, hey, well, let's look at this by customer class. Customer class or customer. Out of my network. Customer class or customer to sort of see, hey, these are all the different areas, and we see those current margins, the total orders, current average lines per order. We can start comparing those to the averages, find where our opportunities are to improve the overall bottom line. Who are my customers I want to move up? Who are the customers to target to improve that? We also see over here on the right, we have this idea of insights. As I mentioned, there's three different ways for us to start improving the bottom line. We can get more customers, we can get the existing customers to buy more, or we can have we can get them to spend more. This insights is telling me different strategies are prompting me to look at different ways on how to do that. So I can improve my overall average lines per order by 0.1, and that's going to roughly lead to a 4% increase of my margin. What that means is if I get 1 in 10 customers to buy one more average item from me, we could improve the bottom line, get that 4% improvement. We could also, to get a 5% improvement, just increase the average order value by 20 bucks. Maybe some of this actually happened with our margin erosion. Maybe we lowered our price a little bit, lowering our averages, which led to some of that variance. If we can find a way to increase that average price for an item by $20, that's also going to be that 5% increase to the bottom line. Or the other way was we can look at and say, hey, we'll get 500 more customers in here, and that will also get us that 5% increase. So right there, we're seeing three different ways or being prompted for three different ways to solve that problem. And we could either, how do we grow our existing customer base? How do we get them to order more? How do we get them to increase their spend or go out and find those existing customers? So as a CEO, CFO, or sales leader, I say, I now have these three strategies in my mind. Where is going to be the best use of my resource? And taking this information, the next logical step for me is going, all right, how do I want to find my existing customers or keep my customers in? So we can jump over to the customers tab to look at that information. Right off the bat, I'm seeing a lot of information. There's a lot of information here. We're going to primarily focus on two things, the ABCD segmentation and the churn prediction. ABCD segmentation, for those of you not familiar, is a way of looking at the value of a customer brings to you. How much are they worth? It's segmenting your most valuable customers are your A customers, your next most valuable are your B customers, then your C customers, followed by the D customers, the customers you actually have a negative margin on. You're actually losing money on these customers. With ABCD segmentation, we can quickly see the distribution of, hey, who makes up my sales versus the number of customers. And we see it's roughly here, 80% or 75% of the margin is coming from this roughly 20% of our customers. We can also take this information and go to the different customer classes. So this is overall, but perhaps I want to look at national accounts as well. And we see how that distribution changes. They're making up even more of that. But we have a larger percentage of them are A customers, which makes sense. But again, we can dive into those different customer classes or those other segments of customers as well. And the page is going to be say, hey, let's focus this analysis. Let's be able to dive into it. And go back to all. So we could take this ABCD segmentation, and we can even drill farther into the details. So we want to know what separates our A customers from our B customers, from our C customers, from our D customers. Jumping into this, I'm seeing, hey, look, we've brought back those profit indicators, that heartbeat of the business. We can see our overall sales, COGS, margin, all of those summaries that come into there. But then what we also bring those profit indicators and say, hey, immediately jumps out. I have 18.3 orders for my A customers versus 4.2 or 1.6 for my B and C customers. We also have the average order value substantially higher for my A customers, my B customers, and my C customers. But if we look at this between just A and B, our average margin per order is actually slightly higher for our B customers than our A customers. So maybe they're getting some sort of discounting that's adding to the more volume or areas like, or things like, or adding to the volume, the number of orders that they're doing, or looking into these different areas for why are these margins slightly different between them. So I'm really starting to see and look at a lot of different strategies that I can dive into. One of the things that comes in is like our average orders per customer is 1.6 for our C customers versus 4.2. But we're also aren't making as much margin per order, just in rough dollars here. We could dive this in a little bit deeper to say, who are those specific C customers? And this is one of the things that our founder, the distributor himself, loves to do. He's like, as he does this segmentation, his goal is always to move his C customers to B customers. And the way he likes to do that with this information is say, hey, look, we're making less money per order here. Perhaps I can put a targeted price increase for my C customers. Maybe I'll lose a couple of them, but they're not as valuable to my business if I can recoup the bottom line. So what he does with here is he can quickly do this, grab this list, he can export the list to Excel, or share the view to the specific sales rep, or share this view with his sales leaders and say, hey, target these people for either a campaign, or target these users for a reach out for a price increase to make sure we can try to migrate them from the C's to the B customers, and then the B's to the A's. Again, this is where Cavallo and Profit Analytics is taking you beyond just a BI tool. It's providing an out-of-the-box segmentation for you to say, let's get your A customers, B customers, C customers, and D customers, so you know where to focus your energy without having to assemble that yourselves. Last thing, I'm going to jump back over here to the churn prediction. While A, B, C, D segmentation is looking at the current health of the customer, saying, hey, who's your most important customers? Churn's starting to look into the future. We have our customers who are at risk of churning. So we can say who's ordered and who's going to continue to order to make sure we maintain those customers, because it's roughly 5 times more expensive to find a new customer than it is to maintain your existing customers. We quickly dive into churn prediction. And going from here, we see here's our minimal risk customers. We have 1,200 customers for minimal risk, all the way down to the moderate risk, elevated risk, and high risk. This model is looking at close to 100 different factors that come in to look at the churn and say, hey, how recently have they ordered? How quickly, when's the last time they ordered? How much was that order worth? Is our order frequency increasing or decreasing? All of that's coming into this risk prediction to say, what is the likelihood of them be churning in 90 days, 200 days, or 365 days, all based upon a threshold for your system. So we see all of these areas where they're coming in. I like to always drive into the moderate risk, because we can head this off, see that there's $161,000 that wouldn't transact again if we didn't head off this list. We click into the list for moderate. We see our scores. Well, here's some of our C customers. Here's some of our B customers, our A customers. We see our frequency and recency scores and their overall lifetime values. And again, we could also filter by, we could also add other filters if we wanted. to just drive into additional areas. Where are they? Lifetime margin. Uh, and again, from here, we can take a look at this, export this, tell the sales rep what to do, export this list, and run a targeted campaign against these moderate risk customers to be able to get them to transact, to come back. So I don't lose this $61,000 next year. So I can enact this before it becomes a margin variance. Using this information, one of our current customers was able to run one of their most successful targeted campaigns, because these are people who have bought from you before but are at risk of churning. By just being able to identify them and get this information into the hands of the sales reps, they're able to say, you find a very high impact marketing campaign to make sure that these identified didn't become a leak, that they were able to actually make sure that they were able to keep these customers. So yeah, those are the really cool features we wanted to highlight from Profit Analytics today. Really looking at all of the variance as it comes in, looking at those sides of the performance, and then also diving into the other side of the coin with customers. I was excited to show it to you. Throw it back to Dean and see if there had any questions or other information.
Yeah, thanks, Nate. That was a great presentation. I actually one of the I like to highlight one of the cool things that I saw on there that always fascinates me is when you go into that that churn prediction and you find that like one of your A customers, you mentioned there was an A customer hanging out in that moderate risk. That's got to be an interesting one, right? Because
Yep.
I think a lot of folks that maybe even if you do ABCD segmentation or you're thinking about this stuff may not be looking at all the variables that you could say, oh, if I only looked at volume of orders, I have an A customer. But if you don't look at all the profitability and all the other things, you don't recognize that they might be a customer that's in trouble.
Yeah, thanks, Dean. I think that's one of the things we do here is say bringing all this information into one spot where I didn't have to put it together. It's just seeing it right there makes it eventually actionable and get the focus on, hey, this sales rep should be talking to these guys. So
Awesome. Well, I'm gonna jump back over here real quick and got a couple more things before we get into the Q&A. Um, we've got a very exciting opportunity. So before jumping into Q&A, I wanted to talk to you about this. We believe really strongly that order intelligence and the profit analytics tools we discussed today will have a positive impact on your business. And we're so sure of that that we're willing to back it up. That's why we are offering an exclusive 45-day money back guarantee, because we know you're going to see results. For the next 20 customers that sign up, you'll have a zero risk, so no implementation fees. You can get started without any upfront costs. We'll be providing expert support, so our team will help ensure a smooth onboarding experience. It is limited time offer. Beyond the 20 customers, it's also going to be ending at the end of Q1. But this allows you to have the experience of the value of our solution, and it's risk-free. If you're not satisfied after 45 days, we'll give your money back. But we're confident that you won't need it. All right. With that, I'm going to jump into the Q&A. We had a question here for you, Nate. What are the thresholds for churn? You mentioned some time frames. Is that adjustable or what is that?
yeah, so one of the ways that we like to be the completed model, but we also know that you have your own way of looking at your business. So thresholds for churn are adjustable based upon the business. A number of days since last invoice is a way that you can look at your churn threshold. We also allow you to configure the ABCD segmentation. Out of the box, we're using what from our 20 years of expertise would be the our best practice standard would be 75%, whatever if an organization makes up as part of the first 75% of your margin or sales would be to classify them as an A customer. You can configure to either use margin or sales as your factor for classification, and then also change those thresholds for A, B, C, and D. We have some customers who like to use, hey, maybe it's only 50% of the margin, or different values like that. So we do have that ability for Profit Analytics to match your definitions for areas like churn and ABCD.
Okay. Awesome. Let's see, this one I think I can probably answer. Is your product licensed by user? No, I know we talked about some of the people you can share and some of the things. It is a site license. So you license for your entire site, and anyone that you want to provide access can have access to the product. Let's see. I think this is one is for you, Nate. How often are you updating your platform with new features?
Uh, we're continuously rolling out new improvements to it. We're really good about making the small improvements. When it comes to the larger elements, we're roughly quarterly for areas like that. But it is something where we are making rapid improvements to the application. And some of the really exciting things that are coming down the pipe and from this is where the product lead gets excited, is we showed that idea of insights, but also allowing more and more insights to sort of identify, hey, when did you have a cost increase, but you did not pass that cost on, so you had a margin leak because of that. We have notifications today that show that, but really bringing that out forward in an insight, and then also providing a what if analysis. We talked about how do we move our our C customers to an A customers, providing a planning tool or very light what if scenario planning where you can come and say, what happens if I change these variables? If I lose five customers, but I increase the overall average value, what does that look like? And really allowing you to sort of take control of those levers and how you can improve the bottom line. So we're improving a lot of that stuff and pushing it in really quickly.
Awesome. Let's see. I have another question here. Is the money back guarantee available for existing customers? I'm actually going to go back to that because there's the link in there and the QR code. I kind of spun by that pretty quickly. Yes, it is for both new and existing customers. The customers on our sales pad product. If you're already a PA customer, that would be a different story. But it is available for new and existing customers. Let's see. I have another question here in the chat. Does this work with GP and BC? And if we were upgrading, will we have to do a second implementation? I can answer that one unless you want to take that, Nate.
Go for it.
Yeah, we work with both Great Plains and BC. That's one of the big advantages that I think you would find here is that if you are a current GP customer and you wanted to test this out, you wanted to try the functionality, we could ingest that data and start running our profit analytics tools over in the order intelligence platform. And the great part is when you migrate or you decide to migrate to BC at some point, good news is you got about 5 years. Then all that data is already in our platform, and we're going to actually be able to help you see the trends as you continue into the new ERP, because we'll be able to pull the data into the new ERP and combine those data points in the platform as well. I think there's one other question. What are the software prerequisites for this product? Pretty straightforward, Nate. I'll go ahead and let you answer that one.
Yeah. With the premises product, it's a really simple integration. Whether or not, depending upon the ERP you're on, it may be just a quick extension to grab from the marketplace or an extension to SalesPad if you're a SalesPad customer, or just providing our software access into your ERP. So there is no software prerequisite. It's being on one of the supported ERPs and being a quick implementation. We see implementations and time to value in typically 2 days before you start seeing data as it comes into it. So it's a really quick it's a really quick process to start diving into and seeing value when it comes to it.
Okay. I think that is all of our questions right now. Checking real quick. No, I think will this work with GP version 18.4? I believe the answer is yes. I don't think there's any variance on our what version of GP that we can work on. That's it. I think those are all of our questions that we have for today.
Yeah, I do see a questions about items and SKU.
Okay.
We did not go into that section of the application, but we also have within our margin and sales section some of the more basic things you would think about when you think about an out of the box BI tool. Being able to say, here's your margin by item, your margin, your sales by item, and looking at to what was my top item gamers and decliners. So that is a part of the application. It wasn't the focus of this. It wasn't the focus of this specific session. If you want to see more, please reach out. We can schedule a more in-depth demo either with myself or Dean or any member of the team at Cavallo would be happy to provide that.
All right. I think that is everything for today. Um, that's all the questions we have so far. So we're going to wrap up. I want to give a special thanks to our presenter, Nate. Thank you all for spending part of your Thursday with us. And as Nate was saying, if you'd like to explore your organization's specific needs further, or you have additional questions about what you heard today, please contact your account manager, scan the QR code on our slide, or go to our website and sign up for a demo. Finally, there'll be a short survey when you exit the webinar. We'd greatly appreciate your feedback. Thank you for joining, and as always, have a great day.